The moment Adrian reached for Elena's face in front of hundreds of wealthy guests, she thought he was only pretending. She had spent years learning not to trust beautiful promises, especially from powerful men who could have anyone they wanted. But then Adrian did something no one in that mansion expected. He placed his entire future, his family's fortune, and his reputation on the line just to keep one woman from being taken away. The grand estate glittered beneath the afternoon sun, filled with expensive cars, designer gowns, champagne glasses, and people who had spent their entire lives measuring others by money and status. Elena stood near the marble staircase in her deep burgundy dress, trying desperately to look calm while her heart raced. She had never felt comfortable in places like this. She had grown up believing that people like Adrian belonged in another world, a world where mistakes could be erased with money and where love was often just another business arrangement. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that everyone deserves to be loved for who they truly are, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories like this. Elena had met Adrian 2 years earlier when she worked at a small charity foundation that his company funded. He had been different from the arrogant businessman she expected. He rarely spoke about his wealth, remembered the names of ordinary employees, and often stayed after meetings to make sure struggling families received the help they had been promised. Elena slowly became his closest friend, although she never allowed herself to believe that he could truly love her. She had seen the way women from his social circle looked at him, and she knew his family expected him to marry someone wealthy, polished, and powerful. Elena believed she was simply the person Adrian trusted when the world became too loud. Their friendship eventually became something neither of them could hide. Adrian began finding excuses to see her, bringing coffee when she worked late, waiting outside the foundation after difficult days, and quietly protecting her whenever someone treated her unfairly. Elena felt herself falling in love with him, but fear always stopped her from admitting it. She believed that one day he would wake up and realize that she did not belong beside him. Then came the engagement announcement that changed everything. Adrian's father, Victor, had arranged a strategic marriage between Adrian and Claire Whitmore, the daughter of another billionaire family. The wedding would merge two corporations and protect a business empire worth billions. Elena heard the news from someone else before Adrian could tell her. She felt as if the floor had disappeared beneath her feet. When Adrian finally came to see her, she refused to listen because she was convinced that his silence meant he had chosen his family over her. Adrian tried to explain that the engagement was a business arrangement he never wanted, but Elena could not accept it. She told herself that love was not enough for a man like Adrian. His world demanded sacrifice, and she was certain she would be the sacrifice. For weeks, Adrian tried to convince her otherwise. But Elena withdrew, resigned from the foundation, and disappeared from his life. She found work at a small community center across the city, determined to build a life that did not depend on anyone's wealth or promises. She told herself she was healing, but every night she still wondered whether Adrian had ever truly loved her. Months passed. Then Elena received an unexpected invitation to the Whitmore estate. She almost threw it away, but the letter explained that the foundation had been accused of financial misconduct. Several $1 million had supposedly disappeared from its accounts, and Elena, as one of the former senior coordinators, had been named as someone who could be responsible. She knew immediately that the accusation was false. But she also knew how powerful Adrian's family was. Someone wanted her gone, and they had found a way to make her look guilty. When Elena arrived at the estate, she found Adrian standing among his family, investors, lawyers, and reporters. He looked exhausted, but the moment he saw her, his expression changed. He crossed the courtyard toward her while everyone watched. Elena expected him to ask her to leave quietly. Instead, Adrian stopped in front of her and gently held her face, as though reminding her that she was not alone. The image was almost identical to the one people would remember for years afterward. Adrian in his dark navy suit, Elena trembling in her burgundy dress, surrounded by a crowd that had expected humiliation but witnessed something far more powerful. Adrian had discovered the truth. The missing money had not been stolen by Elena. It had been secretly transferred through accounts controlled by Victor's business partners. The purpose was to create a scandal that would destroy the charity foundation and force Adrian to abandon his plans to expose corruption within the family company. Elena had been chosen as the perfect person to blame because she had no powerful family behind her. Victor demanded that Adrian remain silent. He reminded his son that exposing the truth would destroy the family corporation, cancel the merger, and cost thousands of employees their jobs. Adrian knew the consequences were enormous. If he released the evidence, he could lose everything his family had built. For one terrifying moment, the entire estate became silent. Then Adrian walked toward the investors and placed a folder on the table. Inside were bank records, private contracts, and evidence proving exactly who had moved the money. He had chosen Elena. Not because she needed saving, but because he believed she deserved the truth to stand beside her. Victor threatened to disinherit him. Claire ended the engagement in front of everyone. Investors immediately began questioning the family's leadership. Adrian knew that within minutes he could lose his position, his inheritance, and possibly the company he had spent his entire adult life building. But he did not move. He stood beside Elena. That was when Elena finally understood something she had been too afraid to believe. Adrian had never been choosing between her and his family. He had been trying to choose a life in which he could finally be honest about who he was. The investigation eventually cleared Elena completely. Adrian's father and several executives were forced to resign, and the foundation was rebuilt under independent leadership. Adrian lost control of part of his family's company, but he gained something far more important, the freedom to live without pretending. Months later, Elena returned to the foundation where their story had begun. The building had been renovated, but the small garden behind it remained untouched. She found Adrian there waiting for her. This time, there were no investors watching, no cameras, no family members, and no business contracts deciding their future. Elena finally admitted the truth she had carried for years. She had never believed a man like Adrian could truly love someone like her because she had spent too much of her life believing love was something people earned through wealth, beauty, or status. Adrian reminded her through his actions that real love was never about finding someone perfect. It was about choosing someone when choosing them became difficult. Their future was not perfect. Adrian still had battles with his family. Elena still carried scars from being falsely accused. There were days when fear returned and made them question everything. But they learned that love was not proven by expensive gifts or grand promises. It was proven in the quiet moments when one person stayed because leaving would have been easier. Years later, the foundation became one of the largest organizations helping struggling families in the city. Elena became its director, while Adrian continued building businesses that focused on creating opportunities for people who had once been ignored. And whenever someone asked how their story began, Elena never talked about the mansion, the fortune, or the scandal. She remembered the moment Adrian stood in front of everyone and risked everything simply because he refused to let the world destroy the woman he loved. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who believes true love is built through courage, loyalty, and kindness, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another story that reminds us that hope can appear when we least expect it. And before the story ends, leave a special comment. Real love stays when leaving is easier. Because sometimes the greatest proof of love is not what someone gives you when everything is easy. It is what they are willing to risk when everything is falling apart. Elena spent years believing she could never be enough for Adrian. In the end, she discovered that she had never needed to become someone else to deserve his love. She only needed someone brave enough to see her worth, and Adrian was willing to risk everything just to make sure she never forgot it.